All right, we need to have a serious talk about belly fat, but probably not in the way you're thinking, because we're going to reframe this completely. That isn't just stored energy you're carrying around. It's an active hormone hijacking factory, and we're going to expose exactly what it's doing to your body right now. I mean, just let this quote sink in for a second. Your visceral fat, that deep internal belly fat, is a rogue endocrine gland. It's gone rogue. It's not on your team anymore. And its sole mission is to steal your testosterone and turn it into estrogen. This isn't a passive problem. It's an active betrayal happening inside you 24/7. So for most of our lives, we've thought of belly fat as, just a spare tire, passive energy storage for a rainy day. But the truth? It's so much more sinister than that. It is an active, living, breathing hormone factory, and it's open for business all day, every day. And that brings us to what I call the biological betrayal. Honestly, there's no better way to put it. It feels like your own body has turned against you, right? It's like an inside job, a full-on sabotage of your hormonal health. Think about it with this metaphor. It's perfect. Imagine you're doing everything right. You're hitting the gym, you're trying to eat better, you're doing all this work to pour testosterone into your bucket. But that belly fat, it's drilled a giant hole in the bottom of the bucket. So no matter how hard you work, how much you pour in, it just keeps leaking out, being converted into something you don't want. This is exactly why just trying harder often feels completely useless. So, how in the world does this factory actually work? Let's pull back the curtain and get into the science of it, because understanding the mechanism, well, that's the key to shutting it down. Okay, the villain of our story has a name, aromatase. This is the key enzyme, the main piece of machinery on the factory floor. Now, your body has it in other places, sure, but it's found in super high concentrations in your belly fat. And its one and only job is to hunt down your testosterone molecules and permanently, irreversibly convert them into estrogen. And this is where it gets really nasty. It's a self-sustaining, vicious cycle. Look, it starts with more belly fat. That means more aromatase. More aromatase converts more of your testosterone into estrogen. And here's the absolute kicker. Higher estrogen in a man's body signals the body to store more fat, especially, you guessed it, right back around the belly. So the factory literally uses its own toxic output to build an expansion. It fuels its own growth. So, okay, this is all happening on the inside. But what does it actually look and feel like in your day-to-day life? Let's talk about the real-world consequences, because this is a domino effect that impacts everything. On the outside, the signs can be incredibly frustrating. We're talking about things like gynecomastia, the development of actual breast tissue, feeling puffy and bloated from holding onto water, watching your hard-earned muscle mass just fade away, feeling this deep, chronic fatigue that no amount of coffee can fix, and of course, a tanking libido and issues with sexual function. These aren't random problems. They are direct symptoms of the factory working overtime. And if we look beyond just the symptoms you can see and feel, the long-term dangers are even scarier. This hormonal chaos messes with your entire metabolism. It's a direct line to things like insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, basically paving the road to type 2 diabetes. And some research points to it creating an internal environment that could even increase the risk for prostate problems later on. Okay, that was a lot of bad news. But here's the good news, and it's really good. You have the power to shut this factory down. This isn't about just working harder. It's about being smarter. So let's get into the game plan, your nutritional counteroffensive. So what's the #1 strategy? It's actually incredibly simple. The factory is located in the fat. So the most direct, most powerful thing you can possibly do is reduce your visceral fat. You shrink the building, you shrink the factory's output. It really is that straightforward. And while you're shrinking the factory, you can also throw a wrench in the gears with your food choices. There are certain foods that act like natural aromatase inhibitors. Think cruciferous veggies, like broccoli and cauliflower. They have compounds that actively fight estrogenic effects. Certain mushrooms have been shown in studies to directly lower aromatase. And getting enough zinc is crucial because it helps your body keep that enzyme in check. And it goes beyond just what you eat. It's also about what you don't eat. Cutting out the refined sugars, the white flours, all that processed junk, that's key. Why? Because those things cause huge insulin spikes, and insulin can actually encourage aromatase to work harder. The goal is to create a calm, stable metabolic environment where that factory just can't get the raw materials it needs to operate. So you see, this isn't just about fighting one little enzyme. The bigger picture here, the real goal, is to reclaim your entire hormonal landscape. It's about restoring that natural, powerful balance that you're supposed to have. And let me be really clear about this because it's important. The goal is not to declare war on estrogen and wipe it out completely. Men absolutely need a little bit of it for things like healthy bones and brain function. The goal is balance. It's about stopping the overproduction and getting your hormones back into their proper, healthy ratio. You know, this explains why some guys go on testosterone therapy and it doesn't work, or it even makes things worse. If your aromatase factory is firing on all cylinders, and you just dump a bunch of testosterone into the system, well, you're just giving the factory more raw material to work with. It'll convert that expensive tea right into more estrogen. That's why you have to address the factory first. When you put all these strategies together, losing the fat, choosing the right foods, controlling your insulin, you're doing something really profound. You're initiating what we call an oxidative sprint. You're forcing a fundamental flip of your body's main metabolic switch, creating a decisive shift that starves the factory and stops the testosterone drain at its source. So we'll leave you with this question. Now you know. You know what's really been holding you back. It's not a lack of willpower. It's a rogue factory operating inside you. And knowing that, that's half the battle. So the only real question left is, are you ready to put on your hard hat, walk in there, and shut that factory down for good?